Chapter 7. The Role of Stress. The Post-Traumatic Stress Disorder. The post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, is a condition that may so affect someone that not only is the child within stifled and stunted, but the person often becomes overtly ill from repeated stress and its extreme traumas. The PTSD interacts with the dynamics of codependence to such an extent that these two conditions often overlap. What Kritzberg from 1986 describes as chronic shock among children of alcoholics can be equated to PTSD. PTSD may occur across the spectrum of manifestations, from fear or anxiety to depression to easy irritability to impulsive or even explosive behavior. To determine whether PTSD is present, the DSM-3 from 1980 suggests that the following four conditions be present. 1. Recognizable stressor. The first is the history or the ongoing presence of a recognizable stressor. Some examples and degrees of stressors are shown in the DSM-3 and are reproduced in a modified form in the table below. While there are countless other examples, I have italicized several of the stressors found among troubled or dysfunctional families. The table is Table 7, called Severity Rating of Psychosocial Stressors from the DSM-3. Code term 1, none. No, the adult examples, no apparent psychological stressor. The child-adolescent example, no apparent psychological stressor. The code term, the 7 that they have are none, minimal, mild, moderate, severe, extreme, and catastrophic. From this short list of examples, one can see that stressors are commonly found in families and environments that tend to stifle the true self. However, to determine the presence of PTSD, the type of stressor must be outside the usual range of human experience. Examples of such stressors may include assault, rape, other sexual abuse, serious physical injury, torture, concentration camp experience, floods, earthquakes, military combat, and the like. I believe, as do others in CIRMAC 1985, that growing up or living in a seriously troubled or dysfunctional family or similar environment often brings about or is associated with PTSD. The PTSD is said to be more damaging and more difficult to treat if 1. The traumas occur over a prolonged period of time, e.g. longer than 6 months, and especially so if 2. The traumas are of human origin, and if 3. Those around the affected person tend to deny the existence of the stressor or the stress. All 3 are present in an actively alcoholic family and in similar troubled families. Re-experiencing the trauma. The second condition or manifestation is the re-experiencing of the trauma. This may be a history of recurrent and intrusive recollections of the trauma, recurrent bad dreams or nightmares, or sudden symptoms of re-experiencing the trauma, often with rapid heart rate, panic, and sweating. Psychic numbing. An outside characteristic of the child within or true self is that it feels and expresses feelings. The codependent or false self denies and covers up genuine feelings. This advanced condition, called psychic numbing, is characteristic of PTSD. It may be manifested by a constriction or absence of feeling and of expressing feelings, which often results in a sense of estrangement, withdrawal, isolation, or alienation. Another manifestation may be a decreased interest in important life activities. Describing psychic numbing, Cermak writes, "During moments of extreme stress, combat soldiers are often called upon to act regardless of how they are feeling. Their survival depends upon their ability to suspend feelings in favor of taking steps to ensure their safety. Unfortunately, the resulting split between oneself and one's experience does not heal easily. It does not gradually disappear with the passage of time. Until an active process of healing takes place, the individual continues to experience a constriction of feelings, a decreased ability to recognize which feelings are present, and a persistent sense of being cut off from one's surroundings. It's called depersonalization. These add up to a condition known as psychic numbing. Other symptoms. Another symptom of PTSD may be hyper-alertness or hypervigilance. The person is so affected and fearful about continued stress that he or she is constantly on the alert for any and all potential similar stressors or dangers and how to avoid them. Yet another symptom is survivor guilt, i.e., guilt felt after escaping or avoiding some of the trauma when others are still in the trauma. While survivor guilt is said to lead to the feeling that the survivor has betrayed or abandoned others, and often then to chronic depression. I believe that several other factors lead to chronic depression, primarily the stifling of the child within. Another symptom may be avoiding activities associated with the trauma. A final symptom not listed in the DSM-3 is multiple personalities. People with multiple personalities often come from highly troubled, stressed, or dysfunctional families. Perhaps multiple personalities are often offshoots of the false or codependent self, driven in part by the energies of the true self to express itself. Cermak suggests that the dynamics of the condition known as adult child of alcoholic, COA syndrome, or other similar terms, are a combination of PTSD and codependence. From my experience treating ACOAs and following them in their recovery, as well as treating adult children from other troubled or dysfunctional families, I believe that PTSD and codependence are likely to be a part of many troubled or dysfunctional families. I further believe that PTSD is but an extreme extension of the broad condition that results from stifling the true self in any form. When we are not allowed to remember, to express our feelings, and to grieve or mourn our losses or traumas, whether real or threatened, through the free expression of our child within, we become ill. Thus, we can consider viewing a spectrum of unresolved grieving as beginning with mild symptoms or signs of grief, to codependence, to PTSD. A common thread in this spectrum is the blocked expression of our true self. Treatment of PTSD consists of long-term group therapy with others who suffer from the condition, and usually, as needed, shorter-term individual counseling. Many of the treatment principles for healing our child within are helpful in treating PTSD. Cermak said, "Those therapists who work successfully with this population have learned to honor the client's need to keep a lid on his or her feelings. The most effective therapeutic process involves swinging back and forth between uncovering feelings and covering them again. And it is precisely this ability to modulate their feelings that PTSD clients have lost. They must feel secure that their ability to close their emotions down will never be taken away from them, but instead will be honored as an important tool for living." The initial goal of therapy here is to help clients move more freely into their feelings with the assurance that they can find distance from them again if they begin to be overwhelmed. Once children from chemically dependent homes, adult children of alcoholics, and other PTSD clients become confident that you are not going to strip them of their survival mechanisms, they are more likely to allow their feelings to emerge, if only for a moment, and that moment will be a start. Thank you for listening.